What's up, everybody? Aaron Negler here with Cheesehead TV, coming to you live from Lambeau Field with your Packers Daily Chat. Day 2. Packers training camp is in the books. We've seen the guys on the practice field. We've heard from Matt LaFleur. We've heard from the players. Now we want to hear from you on our Packers Daily Chat. What's up, everybody? Everybody already in the comments, living large. Love to see everybody mixing it up before we even go live. Lots going on, as happens every day at training camp practices. Offense starting to come alive a little bit. I won't say they're tearing it out of the gate or anything, but certainly Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams made a concerted effort to get on the same page today and, remind everybody how good they are, because they certainly had a number of really impressive connections. Rodgers finding a couple different people. EQ, Equiminius St. Brown, he had a very strong day. One really nice back shoulder catch over Jair Alexander early in the proceedings, and then later on he got behind everybody yet again, beating Tony Brown in coverage. And Deshaun Kaiser hit him today, as opposed to the airmailing he did yesterday. Hit him for a bomb in the first throw that Kaiser had in team session. Those are just a few things that stood out. Speaking of Jair Alexander, Alexander is picking up right where he left off. This is a kid who clearly had a very good year last year, although inconsistent at times. But so far, the first 2 days of camp, he is all over everything. He had a fantastic play deep against MVS where Rodgers tried to hit MVS deep for a bomb. Alexander was all over. Probably should have come down with the interception, but he made sure the ball hit the ground. Just strong reps. Rep in, rep out. He is winning more often than not. And that's obviously something the Packers are going to be relying on. Kevin King also having a strong practice, but Alexander really jumps out at you when you're watching. Did Savage participate? No, Michael, he did not. Second day, just watching. In his place, we saw a lot of Raven Green, who had, I would thought, a decent showing. He got away, I thought, with a bit of a hold/pass interference on Mercedes Lewis. Opened up the final competitive period, but overall I thought he held his own. Adrian Amos actually had a fantastic play in one of the team sessions where Davante Adams had broken loose deep, and Rodgers was rolling to his right, kind of throwing back to his left. That meant he had to naturally took some off of the throw, so it was a bit underthrown, but Amos did a great job of recovering deep and knocking the ball away at the last second for an incompletion. Corey Grant or Ryan Grant. Well, we're never, ever, ever, ever going to besmirch the great name of Ryan Grant. But Corey Grant, yes. Corey Grant was picked up today, along with a defensive lineman out of Wisconsin. Clearly, Grant is somebody that LaFleur indicated after practice that Brian Gutekunst has had his eye on for some time. He suffered a Liz Frank injury early October of this past regular season for the Jaguars. Clearly, team's probably wary of that during the opening of free agency, although it is said he has a clean bill of health and he should be good to go. He was out there today. He looks spry. As LaFleur mentioned in his post-game or post-practice press conference, the kid is fast. He definitely brings speed. And clearly he has familiarity with Nathaniel Hackett, who is now the Packers offensive coordinator. Gutekunst did have his eye on him. LaFleur indicated that Hackett was used for recruiting purposes because apparently there were a few teams snooping around, possibly signing Grant. So Hackett kind of put it over the top. Amos has already proven to be an upgrade over HaHa. Okay, slow down. He looks good early on here, but there's no pads. There's a whole lot of ball game left there. Just relax. How about Josh Jones? Katie, I did see him out there. I didn't see him doing much, though. He's not running with the first team. He is running with the 2s and 3s. And honestly, I have not seen either good or bad out of Josh. He's been pretty invisible so far in camp. And maybe that's by design. Who knows? I will say I was talking to a couple of the beat guys on the sideline today, and we're all a little surprised that he's there. Given Gutekunst seemingly wanting to rid the locker room of guys, malcontents, what have you, that certainly seemed to be his MO last year. Josh Jones is still there, even though he pretty publicly wants out. We'll see how that transpires and how that develops over the course of training camp here. Did they drill punt return and kick return, kind of. They did punts. They didn't really do, and then they did return separately, but mostly for the blocking. They didn't do, outside of like a handful, they didn't do many actual full punt returns. Trevor Davis is still your leader in the clubhouse there. Tremont Williams, a couple other guys getting Shepard, etc., getting opportunities. But for the most part, it's been Trevor Davis as your number one, as your returner. How was Oren Burke's coverage today? Bryce, very good. Pretty impressive in the sense that there were a couple of drills where they were isolating running backs and tight ends on linebackers, and Burks had a number of reps that were very impressive. Now, you never really want to go overboard with that one-on-one drill stuff because you don't know what the coaches are looking for, who's been told what, who's got the advantage. You would think the offense would traditionally have the advantage, but for all we know, they may have told the linebackers, okay, we're going to be working these types of routes. So, they know they're not going to fly by them on a fly or something like that. But all of that said, the caveat aside, Burks did have a strong showing in that session, and I thought he played pretty well from scrimmage in the team drills. Oh, why do you do this to me? Green Bay should trade Josh Jones for Julio Jones. Oh, I love those kinds of fantasy comments. How is Graham doing, 11 versus 11? Jesse, I didn't see much out of him today. He's been participating, obviously. He had what should have been a touchdown yesterday, kind of came off the board because he got tripped up in the end zone in the last red zone competitive period. Luke Getsy wanted to challenge for interference. I would have said that their feet got tangled and there should have been no call. So outside of that, it's been not a lot from Graham, but that's not surprising, I don't think. Both LaFleur and Rodgers have said a few times they're saving legs early on here in camp. Who won today? J.K. Scott, Corey's boy. He won today. He had a number of really impressive punts. But as everyone I was talking to said, that's great. Let's see it in November. But, Scott coming swinging out of the gate. No doubt about that. Gary playing line or edge. Timmy, it's mostly edge, but they have kicked him inside a few times. He's an impressive physical specimen. I'm really excited for the Pats to come on and see how physical he can be with some of these guys. But they have moved him around, as we thought they would. But predominantly, he's played on the edge, mostly on the left side. EQ wide receiver number 2, Nick. It's way too early to make that call, but he certainly looked the part today. He had a really strong day. There's no question about it. And that's not to take away anything from MVS or Kumaro or anybody else, but today was EQ's day, outside of Adams, who is Adams, and we already know what he can do. Let's see what we got here. Punting in July. Exactly. J.K. Scott is a weapon. Nags, any chance Kenny Clark gets an extension soon? I think there's a chance. I think that's probably the driving motivator behind the Daniels cut. So I would think that they're going to be talking. Makes all the sense in the world for the Packers to lock him up sooner rather than later, especially before the regular season hits and he starts playing out of his mind and he only becomes more expensive. We'll see how that progresses throughout camp. Maybe they get something done before week 1. Although there's no real urgency there since he is under control for 2 more years, but we'll see. How has Joel Davis been? He's quiet, not a ton of opportunities. I did see him on a couple reps where he shook his coverage, but the quarterback's not looking his way. More often than not, that quarterback is either Boyle or Wilkins, but he definitely looks the part. I'm anxious to see him get some more opportunities at returner. He's had a few reps there, but there hasn't been a whole lot of opportunity for him to showcase what he can do, to my eyes. Now, it's a big practice. You can't watch everything, and he may be doing stuff maybe in drill work that I'm not watching, but the times I have seen him, I've been impressed with his athleticism. He hasn't been hyper-productive yet, but hopefully for him that will come. Going to be a hard decision for Matt LaFleur on second wide receiver. Well, the thing to remember about that is, yes, you're going to want to kind of get some semblance of a pecking order, so to speak, a depth chart, but these guys are going to play all over the map. And when you say number 2 wide receiver, that could be anything. That could be split out opposite Adams. That could be in the slot. That could be tight in a bunch formation. These guys are going to be all over the map, and they're going to be used in motion. The whole point is to be as kind of flexible as you possibly can and to show the more you can do, the more valuable you're going to be to this offense. And I think every one of those guys brings something to the table, and it's going to come right down to the last, preseason game / week of practice for them to make these types of decisions. How do the fullbacks look? Vitale looks great. There was even one play today where he started in an offset eye, and then Rogers motioned him into the slot, and he did some kind of looked like it's some kind of 5-yard out, but they're definitely utilizing him, and they're definitely kind of moving him all over the place. I think they like the flexibility he gives them. LaFleur did mention his ability in the passing game, his ability to catch the football. I think they're going to value that a lot. You've seen that wherever Kyle Shanahan has been, and I think LaFleur is going to kind of follow that mold as far as, dependent on what kind of look you get from the defense when you send in that power formation, the power personnel. Well, now they're there with their big guys. So you try and get that fullback out in space, isolate him, and let him get to work, maybe unexpectedly to the defense. But yeah, Vitale's had a good, strong opening to camp, no doubt about it. Hi from work. What's up, Janelle? Thanks for checking us out from work. We love it when people check in from work, from the beach, from wherever they are in the world. We've got people watching in Germany, in Russia even. I mean, it's crazy. We're devoted to you guys. Green Bay Packers fans worldwide, whether at work or at play, we're here for you guys, giving you what you want from Packers camp. Depth, middle linebackers that look fast. Special teams has to be important, so our padless practice is important. I think everything is important as far as putting stuff on tape. Remember, what we see as the public and even as the media is just first blush stuff. I mean, we're literally only scratching the surface. They go back and they watch each and every single rep over and over again, multiple times, and they're graded on their technique, and they're graded on decision making. All that stuff gets broken down. So to us, we might not be able to glean, as much as we'd like, but for the coaches and the personnel staff, these practices, padded or no, are invaluable. D-line looking good without Daniels. I mean, it's early. Let's see. I'll tell you what. I will tell you who had a fantastic day today, and that's Fidel Brown. They picked him up kind of mid-season later in the season last year from the Raiders. He was all over the place today. He won so many one-on-ones. He was great in teamwork. He absolutely embarrassed Lucas Patrick at one point. He had a strong day today, and it's that kind of performance that they're going to need from guys like Brown, from guys like Tyler Lancaster. They're going to have to make up for the absence of Daniels. I think the talent is there. It's going to have to be utilized correctly, and it's going to have to produce when called upon. But there's no question that they've got some guys there for depth behind that starting three. The Smiths getting a lot of reps, and if so, how are they looking? Cody, they are getting a ton of reps. It is clear. They are your guys outside as your starters. They've been mixing in Gary and Fackrell, but I tell you what, yes, the Smith boys, the Smith brothers, if you will, they're your starters at outside linebacker. They've been getting every rep with the ones. And I tell you what, I tweeted this out today. Zadarius Smith was out of his mind today, and pretty much yesterday too, but today he was constantly in the offensive backfield. I mentioned this yesterday, but again today, there were a couple of occasions where he had to pull up before he destroyed Aaron Rodgers. I mean, obviously that's exciting. That's what you wanted from the guy. I'm excited to watch the pads come on and watch him play because he is a physical guy who knows how to win in the NFL, and he's doing a lot of it these first couple days. Now, they're going to kick him inside on occasion. He's going to have to get after it with these guards and centers, some of the bigger guys. But I tell you what, the first kind of impression is very, very positive from Zadarius Smith. Oh, what do we got here? Raven Green have a chance to start this season? Well, it depends on what you mean. I mean, by start, I would say yes, dependent on the offense that they're facing. If it's a team that Pettine deems he wants to use that heavy safety that kind of Whitehead took over last year and then Raven played some down the stretch, then probably. But I don't think he's going to be the starter, so to speak, when they're in too high set. I think that's pretty well set. It's going to be Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage. Now, we'll see what happens with Savage. The assumption is he's going to be fine. He's got his wisdom teeth out. He'll finally hit the field, and he'll take over his starting spot that he had all offseason. But you never know. So there is a little bit of trepidation there, but not a lot. Overall, second practice thoughts better than the first one. You know, I thought it was pretty similar, actually. There was a lot of talk yesterday from the head coach about pumping it up and upping the tempo, but the tempo seemed pretty similar. Now, maybe not quite as lethargic or sluggish, to use Aaron Rodgers' word, but it wasn't go, go, go by any stretch of the imagination, and the music was still playing. They did pump the music way up in that final period, much like they did the day before, but it was pretty similar, I thought, overall, tone and tempo-wise. Matt, I talked about Jair right at the top, but how is Jair looking? He's looking like he's picking up where he left off. You know, he obviously had a great season last year for a rookie. Now you want to take away that for a rookie part, right? But he seems to be right on the exact track you want him on. He was all over everybody today. Kuhn, yeah, John Kuhn on the sideline. Does the secondary look like they could be an elite unit? That's way too early to say for certain, but yes. Talent-wise, no question. Who's ready for full pads already, where we figure out the boys are and the men? I hear you there. I hear you. They're not even full pads yet tomorrow. They're only in shoulder pads. And then on Sunday, they go full pads. Next, do you envision Gilbert making the roster? Joseph, that's an excellent question. It's something I was thinking about as they were doing their stretching early on because, you know, you haven't heard a lot about Gilbert this offseason for obvious reasons. They went out and they really spent at outside linebacker. They drafted there. So he's going to have to work, and he's going to have to be a major contributor on special teams. And they haven't done enough special teams work yet to kind of get a real feel with where he's running there. But, yes, he is by no means a roster lock. No question about it. He certainly, I would call him on the bubble. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Are the Packers paying you for the pro shop shots? No, they're not. But you know who is paying me? There's a group called Ticket King. You can find them at cheeseheadtv.com, and you can take care of all your Packers tickets needs so you can go in this great stadium and watch the Packers play. Here, away games, preseason games, postseason games if they're lucky enough to get there. Ticket King's been around since 1992. They have everything you need when it comes to attending a Green Bay Packers contest. Check them out at cheeseheadtv.com. Ticket King. Man, you'd think I'd done that before. How's Kendall Donaldson looking? Daniel, sorry. Invisible. Just pretty much invisible. Now, he did get hurt, but even that prior to the injury, hasn't done a whole lot. Brooks is looking a lot quicker and sticking to his man more. He certainly was great in coverage today. Really promising. Let's see what happens when things get physical on Sunday, even tomorrow. That's going to be the real test. How many audibles from Rodgers today? I don't know. He didn't talk today. I was standing right next to John Kuhn yesterday when Kuhn asked him how many audibles did you call, and Rodgers said 30, and Kuhn asked how they went, and Rodgers said 29 of them were good. There was only one bad one. Obvious shot at the audible thing this offseason. I love it. I love it when they get after it. Any Mike McCarthy sightings since I've been in town? No, but Mike is more than welcome. I'm putting the call out right here. Mike McCarthy, you are more than welcome to come join me here on Packers Daily anytime you want. You can talk about the Packers, though I don't see why you would want to. We can talk about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, whatever you want. Your plans for possibly getting back into coaching. Mike, come talk to us here at Cheesehead TV anytime you want, buddy. Send Josh Jones to the Raiders for a 10th round pick. Dustin, I would tell you that there is no such thing as a 10th round pick, but I suspect you know this. Did I miss the Ticket King plug, Garrett? Yes, you just missed it. My apologies. Would you say our run defense is top 5? Right now, I'd say it's nothing. They haven't done a lick of work in the run game yet. Not with pads on. That's when it means anything. And I actually asked LaFleur about that today in the sense of the offense. Getting those pads on, you know, the run game is so important, and yet you don't really get to practice it until you put those pads on. Now, you can practice a little technique and what have you, but you're being conscious of your teammates. You're making sure nobody goes to the ground, etc. When the pads start popping, then we'll start talking about the run game. Until then, it's pretty academic. How are Jamaa Moore and Geronimo Allison looking? Allison's had a really strong, solid start to camp. Jamaa Moore was quiet yesterday, but Moore had a fantastic catch in one of the drills today. Problem being, he also had a procedural issue where he jumped, was offsides, etc. So it's up and down for him. But you saw on the one play up the seam, you really saw the athleticism, what they saw in him when they drafted him. He's just got to put a bunch of that together. Now, hopefully he continues to get opportunities and he shows some consistency because it's exciting. He is an athlete. And you get the ball in his hands and exciting things can happen. But he's just got to make that happen on the regular. Next, how is Billy Turner doing? Julian, with the caveat that the pads aren't on yet, he looks good. He looks the part. He's certainly athletic enough. He's outstanding on that zone stuff where they're asked to get out to a spot quickly. Yeah, I mean, absolutely looks the part. I'm excited to see what happens when things get physical. We keeping 4 running backs? We'll see. It's a possibility. I think 3 is probably more likely, though. Nagler, beer of choice, whichever one's in front of me. Anything new on Wilkerson? No, nothing. Nothing from the Packers aspect. How has Tanyan been? Big Bob Tanyan season. He's been solid. He had another good day today. He's been running a lot with the ones. He had a great catch in teamwork from, I believe it was Boyle. It was one of the backups. But, yeah, nothing to think that he's going to do anything but make this team and contribute, from my eyes. Now, we're only 2 days in, but that's what it looks like. When's Nags putting on the pads? Never. Any word on Darnell Savage? Mike, nothing to report other than that he was still sitting on the sidelines today, actively watching, engaged, etc., but he's not out with the team yet. Hopefully they get him out there tomorrow. We'll see. LaFleur indicated that it won't be very long. He should be back sooner rather than later. Hopefully that's tomorrow. Lazard making any plays? John, nothing that I've seen yet. He's been doing a lot of special teams work, and that's how he's going to make this team. So if you want to root for him, you got to root for him to really kill it on teams because that's his ticket to the 53. And let's be honest here, it is a major long shot. But as Han Solo once said, never tell me the odds. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to jump. Thank you so much for all the questions, for participating in the chat, for checking out everything we do at Cheesehead TV. Be sure you check out all of our content. Last night, Andy Herman and I shot a few videos. They're on our YouTube channel. Make sure you check those out. And while you're there, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're on Facebook, like us, share us with your friends. If you're on Twitter, retweet us, for God's sakes, into your friends' timelines. They want to know about Cheesehead TV, everything that's going on with the Packers. And if you really want to support what we do, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/CheeseheadTV. $5 a month. That supports everything at Cheesehead TV. And if you want to get involved with Packer transplants, we got a ton of tiers there. You can get involved. You get your name in the credits. Corey and I will sign something and send it to you just to say thank you. You guys really drive what we do here at Cheesehead TV. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day.